guys, I am Lady Silen Iñano, your history adventurous, another vlog, another topic to share with you all. So this time we are stepping back in time again, but it is midterm edition. So another topic, bagong storya na pod guys about sa history sa atong country. So ready na ba mo nga mga makadungog og bagong history unsa patong dugayan? Let's get started. Up, we are going to talk about the Act of Declaration of Philippine Independence. So from the word independence, guys, di ba? We are now living in a democratic country, which is gipaglaban siya dati sa atoang mga bayani. Mao, we have the chance to live in this democratic country. So guys, ang word nga independence, very known na siya sa atua karon. We even celebrate the Independence Day, which is June 12, right? Tama ko, di ba? Ambrosio Rianzares Bautista, commonly known as Don Boshong, first drafted the Declaration of Philippine Independence. On June 12, 1998, General Emilio Aguinaldo announced the Declaration of Philippine Independence. Mao tong ingon nako guys nga, we celebrate Independence Day, which is that day General Emilio declared the independence. Ang declaration aning independence guys, isa siya sa pinaka-importante nga milestone in Philippine history. After so many years that we are colonized by many nations, and imagine now guys, we are now living with freedom, di ba? Sa kadugay ato guys, nakamit gihapon nato ang freedom nga atong gusto, ang peace ug ang freedom. Diba dati kung elementary ta, high school, pag i-celebrate nato ang Independence Day, nagabuhat tag mga Philippine flags o ginabutang siya sa mga bisag asa nga places. Pero as what I observe now, we barely celebrate Independence Day. Ang uban murag ginabaliwala lang, and they don't give significant on it. Mostly sa mga government naga-celebrate og Independence Day, pero kasagaran jud karon wala na jud kaayo nagapake og Independence Day. Mas ganahan sila sa Independence Day because it's holiday, walay klase, walay trabaho, but not knowing we should celebrate that day. Because that day, we all live og nahuman ang tanan kasakit sa atong country. We all lived freely, di ba? We should not really like pasagdaan lang na nga day. I mean, if we don't have much time to celebrate that day, at least naman we should remember na that June 12 is Independence Day. This declaration has the purpose of proclaiming the sovereignty and independence of the Philippines from the colonial rule of the Spanish Empire. The Declaration of Philippine Independence is a document issued by the government. The purpose of this document is to remind the colonists, and remind the whole world the Philippines declared independence from the colonists. Our country was colonized by many nations. Sa kadugay sa panahon guys, we finally lived aning nga freedom. Imagine guys, achieving our freedom after all the hardship nga giagian sa mga Filipino dati. And the one thing we should really give importance of independent, and dapat dili lang nato i-taken for granted. This government-issued document can prove to us that our country and ourselves were freed from the colonists, and implies that we had the right to live without any hindrance, and that we also have equality. It teaches us to be more independent and to be fight for ourselves and our country in order to exercise our right to live with freedom, peace of mind, and unity with others. So that's all about the Declaration of Philippine Independence. So, up to this next topic, we are going to explore again. Are you ready, guys? What are we waiting for? let's get started. In this new exploring, we are going to talk about the 1899 of the Republic of the Philippines Malolos Convention. So, unsa man jud ning constitution no? Unong ka-constitution na ang nag-exist since na-proclaim ang independence sa June 12. Ang Pilipinas dati guys, we are ruled by the American law when it was under American occupation. It has an impact sa ato ang mga Pilipino kay kaniya constitution placed limitations on unsupervised freedom of action by the chief executive which would have hampered rapid decision making. In this new exploring, we are going to talk about the 1899 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippine Malolos Convention. So, unsa man jud ni ang constitution na unsa ni nga constitution? Unong ka constitution ang nag-exist since na-proclaim ang independence sa June 12. Ang Philippines dati guys was ruled by the American law. It was under American occupation. It has an impact sa atoas nga mga Filipino kay kani nga constitution placed limitations on unsupervised freedom of action by the chief executive which would have hampered rapid decision making. This constitution, guys, established a democratic republication government with three branches: the executive, legislative, and the judicial branches. It called for the separation of church and state. The executive powers were to be exercised by the President of the Republic with the help of his cabinet. To sum up it all, guys, kaning Malolos Constitution puts so much emphasis on the protection and promulgation of the rights of the citizen because of the Philippines has been under the colonization of the Spaniards and other countries for the longest period of time. So in order nga maprotektahan ta og ang atong karapatan, kaning Malolos Constitution nag-embody sa atong protection og promulgation sa atong rights as a citizen. So mao na to guys, kabalo na mo kung unsa ni nga constitution. That's all about 1899 Constitution of Republic of the Philippines Malolos Convention. So, up to next topic na punta, we are going to explore again another history. Dili na to dugayan. Let's go to the next. Another video, another topic we're going to explore. Now we are going to talk about Treaty of Peace between the United States of America and the Kingdom of Spain, Treaty of Paris. So, kani guys, about yun sa peace. So, one of the major events that shaped the destiny of the Philippines was the Spanish-American War that broke out in 1898. Relations between the two countries deteriorated when the Cuban Revolution drew the United States to the side of the insurgents while protecting vital economic investments in the island. Emilio Aguinaldo, upon the persuasion of American Consul E.S. Spencer Pratt and with the advice of the Hong Kong junta, returned to the Philippines and the immediate issue proclamation urging Filipinos to once again rally for the cause of the motherland. The support of the Filipinos on his call was overwhelming and was followed by the sweeping victories. The Treaty of Paris was made up of 13 articles that stipulate the conditions, obligations, as well as the benefits that the governments of Spain and United States could enjoy over the ceded islands. The first three articles provided Spain's relinquishment of her claims over its former colonies including Cuba, Puerto Rico, and other islands in the West Indies and the Philippine Island. The treaty did not go into effect until after this ratification. Initially, many American senators did not favor it because they thought of it as unfair to the Filipinos and manifestation of imperialism. Unfortunately, the Filipino-American hostilities that erupted on February 4, 1899 in the Philippines, known as the First Shock, changed the course of the tide. American propaganda made it appear that the Filipinos instigated the hostility, causing a breach of alliance and trust. The American and Spanish governments reckoned the Treaty of Paris as an instrument of peace, but the Filipinos resented its conclusion as ratification for they were not consulted and considered in its making. Sa akong conclusion po guys, with the signing and ratification of the Treaty of Paris, the relations between the Americans and the Filipinos turned more bitter and eventually led to another episode known as the Filipino-American War. Even nahuman na ang treaty guys, I guess dito na po nag-start ang war between Filipino and Americans. So, that's all about this treaty. Let's explore to the next topic. And to this next adventure in history, we are going to explore Jose Rizal's retraction controversy. Maojud ni siya guys ang akong favorite nga topic among all my reflections. You wanna know why? Listen and I'll share it to you. Sa karong panahon na guys, there are many controversy happened and talked by the people in the society. It gives not confidential information that also leads into debatable situation until it gets to the part that everyone will be confused and spreads fake facts. Marites pa. Just like how it happened in the time of Rizal's retraction controversy, up until now there is no proof or any justification to end the debate about did Rizal retract or not. This issue can possibly ruin the thinking of people. It will make them confused at everything in the fact that they didn't know the exact detail of it. As a student, it remained confusing to me and my curiosity just wanted to explore and know more about it. Kaya mas better man good guys kung mismo kita ang mas ma-explore sa usa ka butang kaysa maminaw rata sa istorya sa mga tao. Dili ta magmarites. Okay? This is a report of Moreno present eyewitness account of what transpired in Rizal's prison cell before he was executed. According to my readings, I cannot state the exact answer because as what I understand up until now as to the matter that if he did really retract before his execution. There were some statements here in the paragraph that gives in denial talk about his retraction of Rizal. It has 40% of me thinking that Rizal retract and 60% possibility that Rizal did not retract. Moreno's report not consistent for me to believe in a fact that also that Moreno never mentioned Father Balaguer in his report, though Father Balaguer claimed that he was present in Rizal's prison cell and he was also stated that during the meeting, Father presented the retraction template to Rizal but the latter did not sign. So naa-jud siya something guys nga di jud na ako ma-explain if unsa jud ang exact kay bisag ako confused kaayo ko. Aside from Moreno's report, there are other documents in the collection that can enrich further that narrative of Rizal's final 24 hours. For instance, the collection has several newspaper clippings of what happened to him before after his death. Bisag, i-search ninyo siya guys or maato mo sa mga publications or even historians can't answer it. I guess up until now, Jude, it stays debatable. But whether Jose Rizal did retract or not, the scholars feel that Rizal had the moral fortitude to admit his errors in the retraction document. The fact that he recanted and returned to his faith may or may not be genuine, but this does not lessen Rizal's status as a great hero of such magnificence. So, umot to siya guys. Nag-stay siya debatable up until now. Pero para sa ako wala nag-lessen ang kuan ni Rizal as the hero of our country, diba? It stays hantud karon gi isip gihapon nato siya or gi ila gihapon nato siya as our Philippine hero. So that's all about to Sir Rizal retractions. So mao na to siya guys ang story sa akong pinaka-favorite nga reflection. So let's move on to the next topic and let's explore more. Di na nato dugayon and let's go. This time, let's explore the story of convention between the United States of America and Great Britain delimiting the boundary between the Philippine archipelago and state of North Borneo, 1930. Naka-encounter na jud ta guys of problems like paglimit sa lupa or territories that we own. Just like what happened to the controversy between Philippines and China arguing the West Philippine Sea. The conflict between China and the Philippines and the Western Philippine Sea, aka the South China Sea, is the result of years of territorial dispute over the Spratly Islands, a group of 7,500 islands and reefs that multiple countries have claimed as their own. Well, about this context, it also talks about delimiting boundaries between territories. The Declaration of Five Articles as proof about delimiting the boundaries between the Philippine archipelago and the state of North Borneo also to end that the same and every article and clause thereof may be observed and fulfilled with good faith. The leaders of both countries communicated each other their respective full powers found a good and due from have agreed upon and conclude those five articles. And the issue I've mentioned, it is a great victory for the Philippines, but before we start claiming it, it has our own, we have to fix our relationship with China immediately. We should also adjust our laws to include the people in the spread list and give them proper care. Para sa ako guys, nindot nga na ay nahitabong nga convention between USA and Great Britain because it builds a great communication between the countries that creates fast agreement at the same time, avoids argument and claiming. I therefore conclude that arguing and fighting over its claims are not just the best way to solve everything. It just need good agreement and great communication to feel everyone at ease. Moto ang story sa convention between countries. So, ang lesson dyan guys, mas nindot kong storyahan dyan siya maayo na ay agreement para dili po mag-lead into war between countries. That's all. Do you want more? Come and explore with me to the next topic. This video, we will going to explore the account of Private William Grayson. Well, miscommunication has been a part of our daily lives even before our ancestors made their first grants. The thing is how you say it matters, but sometimes what you say can have an even bigger impact on how your message is received. It is one of the problems now that causes troubles because of misunderstanding. And that's what happened to Private William Grayson between the two Filipino soldiers. It happened that Private William Grayson misunderstood the words that Filipino soldier replied to him. It causes a really big trouble. He shot which killed two Filipino soldiers and the beginning of Philippine-American War. Imagine that a small miscommunication leads to a nightmare. This is the time where Philippine-American War started, an event previously called the San Juan Bridge Incident. Private William Walter Grayson, an American volunteer soldier in the 1st Nebraska Volunteer Infantry, was one of the main sources for information on this incident. Theodora Agoncillo claims that the day following this incident, General Arthur MacArthur ordered an offensive against the Filipinos without even thoroughly searching the reason for the shooting, igniting the Philippine-American War. A plaque was placed at San Juan Bridge in Manila announcing war was fired on the evening of 4 February 1899. What happened is William didn't understand the communication that happened and just thought the best thing is to shoot the soldier. This was a nightmare in early years of Filipinos. Maybe if that gunshot didn't happen, I guess there is no any conflict between the countries. And the fact that it is important to those early Filipinos who had been fighting for their independence since 1896. However, for us Filipinos, it is a time that still has an emphasis on our lives and sense of who we are, no matter what, where we live. Clear kayo guys nga, ang problema is having miscommunication between the two soldiers. Dapat jud ato ang karoon ng atong i-convey nga words para maka-avoid pod of trouble. That's all about the account of Private William Grayson. Now, let's explore the next topic. Let's explore the Benevolent Assimilation Policy Declaration. So, benevolent assimilation is a system that America created to depart from traditional colonialism practiced by the British and other powers of the time. But however benevolent it is the aim was still to dominate and control the country and being less blatant, and it was even harder to overcome. It gives big impact, especially to us that we carry the new generation. Observing today's situation, the people in our country suffering the issues of lacking disciplines and protest. We've been controlled by the Americans, and I can see the reflect of history in this generation. In the fact that McKinley promised that time to substitute the mild sway of justice and the right for the arbitrary rule. Yet our country has the right to be independent and has the right to govern. The United States sought to win the confidence, respect, and affection of the inhabitants of the Philippines by assuring them in every possible way that full measures of individual rights and liberties, which is the heritage of free peoples, and by demonstrating to them that the mission of the United States is one of the benevolent assimilation, substituting the mild sway of justice and right for arbitrary rule, the heritage of free peoples, and by demonstrating to them that the United States mission is one of the benevolent assimilation. Conclude that our nation has the right to be independent and has the right to rule, despite McKinley's promise to replace the arbitrary rule with the mild sway of justice and right. At the time, we Filipinos should have sharp mind in terms to this, and that way we can help our country fight for the rights. And that's all about this benevolent assimilation. So now let's proceed to the next topic. This next one to explore is quite interesting para sa ako because it is all about the significance of the women's suffrage referendum. This context, Encarnacion Alzona wrote about the significance of a referendum on suffrage that gives women the right to vote. This article is one of her works that talks about the intrinsic equality of Filipino women and men, notwithstanding their lack of access to political and educational opportunities. This article reflects to our existing society now, in which they don't give equal voices both in political and educational chances, whereas a woman was being shot and still considered and seen them in lower classes. As a growing woman, I can see myself to Alzona, who also wants equal parts on everything, especially when it comes to rights. Because in this new generation, it is very rare to see a woman who fights for their voices, in a fact that some are scared to let out because of judgment. Despite being denied political and educational rights, the Filipino woman, her social, economic, and political status 1565 to 1933 prove the Filipino woman's intrinsic equality to males, is an unambiguous admission on the part of the framers of our Constitution that they believe Filipino women could decide a national issue when they address the issue of suffrage, which affects not only them but the entire nation. This gives big influence and encouragement to women who is scared to be charged because they are fighting for their rights. In this article, Alzona gives justice to hear the woman's voice. Alzona's advocacy gives big impact of awareness and use our voice to bring the utmost good to society as a whole. After that, the grant of women's suffrage, the next campaign of Alzona will be directed of making the women intelligent and vigilant citizens. To sum up, we must be vigilant at all time and let our voice be heard by everyone. I guess si Alzona guys, gusto niya nga well stand for ourselves, and as a growing woman, dapat kabalo ko how to be independent. Madunggan ang boses sa tanan ang pinaka-importante nga dapat tagaan jud og attention. Kani nga advocacy ni Alzona can really help women at the same for all the people. That was all about the women's suffrage. Now, let's explore the next one. As time goes by, the standard of educational system change also. The thing is we don't make use of cultural activities anymore, and it was replaced by technology. we are no longer aware of those because of the changes on it. Well, this topic was all about the report of Philippine Executive Commission to the Director. The technology is more used now in propagandas, which it makes a big impact to people. Although technology can be helpful, relying solely on it will not be sufficient in the long run. In this context, they more use the cultural activities such as the lectures to be more convenient in making an engaged education and more educated citizens that will probably can benefit our country. As a student and a youth, it don't give much impact on me because technology makes education more easier, but it has a part on me that I wanted to explore the ways of engaging the education and public instructions for propaganda. This topic consists of activities from economic initiatives to solve resource shortages to public education campaigns and cultural endeavors that serve as propaganda during times of war. It also shows the efforts by the interim administration to propagandize through public instruction and education. I conclude that it is not too late also to teach us students with these ways for us also to be aware and have knowledge with our history's propaganda. And now I am going to explore the supplemental topic that our professor Roland Dalagan gave. So, let's get started. Akong gupili nga supplemental topic guys is all about History Mindanao Piece 1. The Chinese commerce changed in the latter part of the 18th century and it now has a mixture of Chinese, British, Dutch, and Tausug cultures. Additionally, it offers products including titripang, tortoise shell, pearl, and bird's nest. However, despite the island nation of Sulu's rising commercial activity, its population growth rate lagged. Raids on a big scale were permitted by the Visayans, Minahasans, and Bergenese. Gunpowder and weapons were still in hand. The Philippines did not engage in such human trafficking as a result of Spanish colonialism, which involved the disarming of datus and the cessation of the Pangayaw custom, and the northern Luzon and Visayas, which were pacified areas. Its characteristic is easily explained by the fact that Anglo-Chinese import and export trade thrived for 30 years following the Treaty of Nanking signing in 1842. The British and European markets for Chinese tea and silk shrunk after the mid-1870s. British exports to China stagnated and the expansion of Indian opium exports to China was severely hampered by domestic Chinese production. To sum up, the raiding flotilla consisted of 25 boats with a manpower of 1,000 and the siege lasted 5 days. The situation deteriorated further and further. Although British exports to China increased after massive price inflation in China raised serious concerns about genuine commercial expansion. Some princes attempted to refocus these activities to become Chinese government and railway loan constructors to save the Anglo-Chinese import and export trade from a bleak future. And this is the end of exploring midterms. Unta na amoy at least nahibalaan sa akong gipang share sa inyo. That's all guys and see you to our next history destination.